Well, welcome everyone to Shop Talk with Sublime. We are now in week 6 of our weekly webinar series. This is number 6 of 6, so we are now at our finale, and we are going to be talking today with a guest, and as we are waiting right now for some people to show for us, we'll just go through some for the record type things about why are we doing a webinar series. Well, I don't have to tell everyone that over the last few weeks, we have been living through kind of an unusual time. We're in a virtual world right now as we've gone through the pandemic and working at home. And we are really, as a technology firm, we really wanted to position ourselves right now to be a place for people to come for questions and advice and to get educated on how to work successfully through this new virtual world. And so that's where the webinar series was born. What can you expect from us during this webinar series? Well, we are going to be discussing informative and relevant topics. Now, obviously, with us being a technology firm, we will hit some technology topics, but we wanted to hit on a lot of different things that were affecting everyone in all of their different businesses. We are viewing these topics from 10,000 feet. What do I mean by that? I mean that obviously in an hour, we're not going to be able to hit every detail on every topic. So we hope to give you enough information on these topics that you'll be able to go forward and get more information if you'd like. We want to give you places to go to get that information. We hope this will be a positive and hopefully entertaining way to spend an hour. We do want this to be interactive, and so right now I do have everyone's microphones muted. That's just to decrease background noise and feedback off of microphones. But the chat is open, and then we do have some time carved in for questions and comments as we move forward. So please share your experiences with us. We want to be able to learn from everyone. How can you join in the fun? Well, if you're with us, you've figured that out. You can find us at sublimecomp.com, and it's /ShopTalk with Sublime. You can find our upcoming topics and how to register. We are recording these sessions, so if you've missed one or maybe have to pop off early, you'll be able to catch that on our YouTube channel and also on our other social media places. And those are Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Check us out on there and give us a like, follow us there if you will. You can also email us with any feedback or suggestions. So as far as topics, you can see some of the topics we've talked about. Again, not just technology. We've talked a little bit about marketing, some HR issues, healthy living, so lots of different things. Today we're going to be talking about productivity. And then next month, as we move into a monthly series, I'll be talking about HIPAA compliance. So if that's something that is of interest of your business, or if you know someone, please have them check us out in June. Today, again, I don't think I introduced myself when we started, but my name is Elizabeth Bell, and I am the Vice President of Business Development with Sublime Computer Services. As with most people in most businesses, I wear a lot of different hats. I do a little bit of the back end paperwork type things for the company. I also do our networking, our marketing. I do client education and client happies, which is actually a fun part of my job. I am married to the founder, so a big part of my job is keeping him in line. So Adam Bell is president of Sublime, and he's on with us today to make sure everything runs the way it's supposed to. But today I am also joined by my guest, and my guest is Cheri Traxler. Cheri is a friend of mine, but more important than that, with this topic today, she's going to bring her expertise. Cheri is the founder of Vireo Life. She's also an author, she's a speaker, she's a certified personal trainer, she's a certified intuitive eating counselor. So she has lots of great information to share with us today about healthy living. So our topic today is working well. Are you working well? What does it mean to be working well? So we're going to answer those questions and hopefully a little bit more today as we move forward. So we're talking about good habits for business and personal growth. And that subtitle about habits, good habits, may not be entirely true. So let's actually look at habits versus routines. Now, a habit is an acquired manner of behavior that has become nearly or completely involuntary. So it's subconscious. You learned it, but you're not really having to think about it. And for example, when you're a child or if you have small children at home, you need to remind them each time they go to the restroom, you have to wash your hands. Well, then when they wash their hands, they have to think about, okay, I'm going to turn on the water and I'm going to wash my hands with soap and then I'm going to dry my hands. No, I'm going to turn the water off and then dry my hands. So they're having to think through the process. But over time, that becomes a habit. They don't have to think about that. And hopefully, as adults, we're not having to be reminded to wash our hands every time we go to the restroom. And when we wash our hands, we can think about other things. And so by definition, something that you have to think about or behaviors that require concentration or deliberation, those are not habits. And so not all behaviors become habits. So if you're doing something regularly, but you're having to think about it, what is that? It's a routine. So a routine is a sequence of actions that are regularly followed. Now, we all have routines, right? We have our morning routine of getting up and getting dressed and eating breakfast, our bedtime routine. We've got our routine of getting to work and doing work at work. So we all have those routines. A routine requires thought. So I have to think about cleaning the house or having, what am I going to do during my work day? What am I going to do? Where am I going to do this? When am I going to do this? A routine also requires work. A clean house does not happen by accident. I wish it did. And a productive workday doesn't happen by accident. And so you do have to work. So because of those things, having thought and having to do work, sometimes we are not always really great at keeping a routine. So now I'm not a psychologist. I don't even play one on TV. I will leave that to Cheri, who is the certified counselor. But I do know that you need to find your motivation in order to get things done, to do those behaviors. And so what gets you going? What gets you moving to get those things done? That's different for everyone. And so now I'm going to be talking about behaviors and routines in the business world. So what is your motivation in business? Is it that you just want to do a good job? Or is your motivation related to, well, I want recognition from my coworkers or recognition from my boss? Maybe you're just motivated by the paycheck. Maybe it's all of the above. But those are questions we need to ask ourselves. And those answers are different for each of us, and they may change over time as well. So let's talk now about a little bit more in detail of what some behaviors and routines that hopefully become habits that can help us in our business life. Now, I learn and think with mnemonic devices. I think we all learn well with mnemonic devices, but that's just how my brain works. I'm constantly thinking of a rhyme or a song or a picture to remember things. And so when I was thinking originally about this webinar series and how do we work well at work, well, obviously 6 weeks ago when I was starting this, we were all suddenly working from home. And so my mind went to an acronym, and I made an acronym for HOME, H-O-M-E. And so here we are 6 weeks later, we're transitioning back to the office, some of us, and I thought, oh, maybe I need to change it. I decided not to because, one, this is an easy way to remember it, but also these habits, it doesn't matter if you're working at home or if you're working at an office. These are things that can help us anywhere we are working. So for HOME, the H stands for Huddle. So even if you're not a football fan, which I am, but if you're not, you still know that football players are going to all get together and they're all going to huddle before they do a play. They're going to be talking about what is the play, who's going to have the ball, which direction are they going to go. Well, a huddle at work is exactly the same thing. It gets everybody on the same page. Who has the ball? Where are we going? Which direction are we going? It's also a time to really have accountability within your team as well, because you've all said what you're going to do. So it's very helpful in that respect as well. So at Sublime, we have a daily huddle, 8:30 every morning. There's really no excuses. Everyone knows it's happening, and you're expected to be there. It's just part of our culture. We've done that since day one, even when we had 1 or 2 employees, and we still do it now. It helps, again, everybody to know what's happening during the day. And it's a great practice, but we noticed that over the last few weeks, as we are not all working together, we were still having that morning huddle, but then, around 2 o'clock, well, you weren't really sure if things had gotten done. And so if you do a huddle, realize you might, during this time when people are working, distance working and remote working, you may have to readjust when that huddle happens or how often that huddle happens, because we can't just pop down the hallway and ask somebody. We can't ask them if they did their tasks. So a huddle is a very, very important thing to increase productivity in your business. You cannot over communicate, especially right now. So that brings me to O. O stands for open door. Everywhere I've worked, and I would venture to say at most workplaces, I've always had a boss say, I have an open door policy. Come and find me if you ever have any questions or if you ever have any problems. My door is always open. Or maybe you work on a team where you do projects together and you sort of have that open conference room or that open door policy where you can ask for help on this project. Well, right now, you can't do that. You can't just go into your boss's office or down to the conference room. But we still need to have communication. We still need to make sure that our coworkers know that we're available. So open door has now become open chat or open Zoom, but it still needs to happen. So that will help you in productivity as well. Communication is really, really key. The M in home stands for manage. Now, manage can mean lots and lots of different things. There's many ways to look at this. You can look at it in the fact that a manager, the boss, needs to manage the employees. You might look at it in that each individual employee is now having to manage working from home. We're having to manage our new schedule. Businesses are having to manage new challenges with clients. And so this obviously brings some different challenges. There is a saying about us all being in the same boat. Right now, during this unique time, I would venture to say that we are all in the same storm, but we're not necessarily all in the same boat. We are all dealing with slightly different circumstances and handling them in different ways. So these ways of dealing with things are obviously going to spill over from work into the home, especially right now because work is in the home for so many of us. And so we need to keep that in mind when we are dealing with our coworkers or our employees, that everyone's managing and dealing with things differently. And so we're all managing a new learning curve, a steep learning curve for some of us. We're managing new technologies. We're managing time management, and we're managing kids and dogs and neighbors. We're also managing emotions. We're managing fears during this time, this fear of the unknown. So remembering that we're all managing that in this same storm will really go forward into helping productivity at work as well. Then the E in home stands for execute, and this is probably the most important part. I mean, you can have a great plan, you can have a great idea, you can have a great acronym, but if you don't follow through, it doesn't matter. Nothing is going to happen. And so make yourself a to-do list. Delegate some tasks if you can or if you need to, but then you need to follow up to make sure that those tasks were done. Be realistic about what can be done, especially right now. Be flexible when maybe it doesn't look like what you wanted it to look like, especially right now. So execution is very important. So HOME, this is a way that you can be more productive in the workplace. So these tips, the home idea was really more about productivity in the workplace. It was the workplace as a whole, your responsibilities within a team. But what about me? What about you? As individuals, excuse me, as individuals, no matter what our job title is, we all need to look at some things that we can do to be more focused and more productive. So again, this webinar was really designed for remote working, but these things that I'm going to say really can be taken into the on-site workplace as well. Expectations. Do you know your expectations? If we don't know or have clear, don't know clear expectations of what we're supposed to do, we might just feel like we're sort of wandering around during the day. It's hard to be productive when we don't really know what's being expected of us. So do you know what your job is? Do you know what's expected of you at the end of the day or at the end of the week? And maybe you did know that, but now that work looks a little different, maybe you're not so sure anymore. So this boils down again to communication. If you don't know those expectations, ask. And ask what those expectations are so that you can then feel like you're moving towards something. Then next, the expectations need to also spill over to your home. Expectations of, we've all got, maybe not your family, but you have a roommate or a housemate, neighbors even, that are now around us and in our workspace. So we need to set expectations with them. What are the hours that you're going to be working? Are they going to be able to talk to you during those hours, or do they need to pretend you're not there? How can you communicate those expectations? Do you have a sign in the hallway? Do you close your door? So telling those expectations and setting those expectations to your housemates will help you be more productive during the day. Also, remember to tell yourself those expectations. Set a routine, set a list, and do that. And then reward yourself if you get that done. Another way to be more productive individually is your equipment. You can't be productive if you don't have the right equipment. So do you have what you need to do your job? Do you have a computer and a printer, a phone at home? Do you have a secure network so that your network's not going down? Excuse me, my throat is, I need to take a drink. Do you have client information that maybe needs to not be thrown in the kitchen trash can? So you need to have a way, a place to put that. So making sure you have good equipment will help you be more productive while you're working. Think about your environment. Where are you working? Do you have a productive work environment? Now this looks different for different people. Some people like to work outside. Some people only want to be inside. Some people like music. Some people want it to be completely silent. I like nice bright lights, but maybe somebody wants it to be, a little bit darker. That's going to look different for everyone, but you need to make sure it's a productive space for you. You also need to make sure that it's a space, your environment is hopefully a little bit separate from your living area, meaning you need to be able to leave work at the end of the day. And that's hard when we're at home, because a lot of people are working in their dining room or working in their living room. So think about having a separate space though, because that will make you more productive, not just in work, but also in your personal life as well. Also, think about whether or not you have quiet space, because a lot of what we do now is on the phone or on Zoom. And speaking of Zoom, the next thing to talk about is exhibition. And I mean your presentation while you are on these teleconferencing platforms. So much of, again, what we do now is virtual, but people are still seeing you. They're seeing your workspace. So remember that this is still work. This is still a professional environment. So brush your hair, put a shirt on. Don't wear your pajamas if you're going to be on camera. Think about your camera placement. Make sure that we're not looking straight up your nose or only looking at your ceiling fan. Just thinking about little things like that will make it look more professional. Don't have your dirty laundry, hanging from the ceiling fan during your Zoom call. Think about what people see when they are looking at you on these calls. Execution, again, the same as with home. This possibly could be the most important piece of being productive. You can have plans, you can have lists all day long, but if you don't follow through, nothing's going to happen. So while you're working at home, you can use things like Trello or Microsoft Teams, which are collaboration platforms that can help you work, keep on track and keep up with your other teammates. You can use sticky notes all over the place, set a timer, whatever you need to do, but something that's going to help you execute. So let me give you actually a suggestion about a way to execute this plan. Now, this is a suggestion. It is purely a suggestion, but this is something that I've actually recently started, and it really has been a big help for me. Now, I cannot take credit for this. I actually heard this at a marketing conference that I went to back in February, and the speaker was Michael Hyatt, and he is the former CEO of Thomas Nelson Publishers, which is a multi-million-dollar publishing company here in Nashville. And he has since become a business coach and an author and a speaker. And so he was speaking to us about being productive. And he calls this the 3x3 achievement system. So now we all have lots of things to do at our jobs, no matter what our jobs are. We've got meetings and deadlines and reports and things to do. You know, all of us have that. And I know personally, I can get really overwhelmed when I'm thinking about all these things I have to do sometimes. And I'm organized. I like a nice clean workspace. I make lists. I have a big color-coded whiteboard up in my office. But I still had days where I just felt like I was running in circles and I was just chasing my tail, and I would be exhausted at the end of the day, and then I'd look around and I had not gotten anything done. Well, the problem was that I was trying to do all the things all the days, and I just had too much going on, too many plates spinning. So this really helped me to focus. So what is the 3x3 system? It's really, really simple. Quarterly, you first look at your quarterly goals. What 3 big things do you want to have done or need to have done by the end of the quarter? So when you write those down and you look at those, you might think, there's no way. There's no possible way I can get this done. And then you get overwhelmed again, right? Well, there is an old saying that is, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is 1 bite at a time. And so the principle with this is you have your big 3 goals for your quarter, but then you begin to break those down into smaller bites. So quarters are made up of months, and months are made up of weeks. So during your work weeks, you pick 3 objectives or 3 targets that you want to get done each week. Now, these objectives are going to be taking you towards your quarterly big goal. So you make weekly objectives, and then you break that down even smaller into 3 daily tasks. Now, again, those tasks are to get you to the completion of the objectives, which will get you to the goals. So really simple, right? It doesn't mean that you just do 3 things every day. I wish that was the case. But those are the 3 things that you focus on, the 3 things at the top of your list that you need to work on. Then you can work on other things as they come up or as needed. When I first heard this, I was a little skeptical, and I thought, wow, that's really kitschy, because it just seemed too simple to work, but it was obviously something that I also thought was doable. So I wrote it down. Now, it took me a few weeks to actually get it implemented, but I actually have been doing this over the last few weeks, and I do feel like I am getting, I don't feel like I'm chasing my tail every day. And so this has actually been a really great way for me to focus my day. So again, suggestion, give it a try. I'd love to know if it works for you. So hopefully that will help you. Some of those things will help you in how can you be more productive, how can you work well in your business. But our lives are not all about business, right? We have other sides, other facets. We've got family and friends and our mental and physical health to think about. And so I am actually going to now hand the floor over to Cheri, and she's going to give us some ideas to how to make sure that we are balanced in those areas. So as I am currently now, you are the host, Miss Cheri.
Okay. So let's see if we can get my screen shared. Great. I think. Oh, Okay, we are further in here. Let's back this up. Okay. So hello, everybody. I'm Cheri Traxler with Vireo Life, and we are going to be talking about productivity now from a personal standpoint. Elizabeth has been sharing with us on productivity from an organizational standpoint, but our organizations are made up of us as individuals, which means we need to have the energy to be productive. And I want to share first with you about a company that a few months ago, before all of this, shutdown happened and we were meeting face to face, I was teaching a workshop in a company, and this company has two owners. One owner I was working with getting workshops and our plan for the year set up because we were looking at creating a culture of wellness in this company. And the other owner was like, oh, well, the staff is fine. The staff has plenty of energy and is as productive as they can be. It's, we don't, it wasn't that she said we don't need this, but she wasn't all on board. However, in our very first workshop, I was sharing the energy scores as a preliminary exercise. I did some surveys and found out through some assessments the energy scores average for the company. On a scale of 1 to 10, they were 5 point something. And when I shared that, the owner who initially thought, oh, it's no big deal, she was, oh my, we're running at half capacity. We're running at half of our energy and we're missing out on all the things that we could be doing, not only at work, but she cared about her employees so that, she wanted them to leave work still with energy to be able to enjoy the rest of their lives as well. So it was then a question of what do we do to fix this? And I'm going to share with you today some of the steps that you can take to increase your energy, because just like her, too often we think we have all of our energy, but in reality, a lot of us are running on half of the energy that we could. And when I say get authentic energy, I do not mean energy based on Red Bull and a pot of coffee. I mean genuine energy that's coming from you. And I want you to take about 30 seconds and answer this question for yourself. If your energy was at full capacity, if your energy was at full throttle, where you were living authentically, energetically every day, mentally on, physically on, how would that positively affect your life? So take a moment and write that down. And you can be honest in your answer. I'm not going to ask you to share. Give you about 5 more seconds. All right, let's go into the habits that you need. And Elizabeth, you talked about having memory hooks to help with this. That's how this is designed. This is a cheat sheet that will be a resource for you at the end if you would like it. I can get it to you. And I encourage you with that, if you want this, to print it off and put it up near your workplace in your environment that Elizabeth was talking about. The first of these is to get a full night's sleep. A full night's sleep is going to be your foundation for having the energy that you need to be productive. One of my clients talked about he wanted to be more productive at work, have more energy at work, and he knew that his sleep was impacting that. But we were able to put some dollar signs to it, and it really helped. Here's what happened for him. He is an entrepreneur, and he was able to tie his level of energy to his productivity the next day. And that productivity he was able to put into a monetized way to say, if I'm productive at this level, I make this much money. But if I'm productive at this level, I make this much money. We then tied that to every 15 to 30 minutes that he would stay on his social media at night, up later than what he had intended, scrolling through. And when it started clicking in his head that, oh, that half hour just cost me $1,000. Oh, that hour just cost me $3,000. It started getting put away and he started going to bed on time. So whatever it is that's keeping you from getting a good night's sleep, if it's something that's simple, or if it is something that is more complicated, something physical that's going on, whatever it is, find a way to deal with it, because foundationally, you've got to get a good night's sleep to be productive in your life. This is a quote that I absolutely love from one of the sleep researchers at Harvard Medical School. We now know that 24 hours without sleep, or a week of sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, induces an impairment equivalent to a blood alcohol level of 0.1%, otherwise known as drunk. We would never say that this person is a great worker. He is drunk all the time. Elizabeth, how would you feel if your guys came in drunk? No, don't unmute yourself and say, we don't want to know. Yet we continue to celebrate people who sacrifice sleep for work. And if you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, I never have that happen. I don't go 24 hours. I get way more than 4 hours sleep a night. 2 hours of lost sleep is equal to 3 servings of alcohol. So you are still impaired in your ability to be productive if you are losing sleep. Number 2 is manage your stress. And this one is specific to a way that is so easy to manage your stress. Stress and stressors often come by our thoughts. And with your thoughts comes the ability to manage your energy levels during the day. Simple way to manage your thoughts is, what are you allowing to come in? And having only 2, and I say 2 max because ideally it would be 1 or 1 every other day of news updates. There are things that in the work world you need to know. If you're an HR person, if you are a business owner, you need to know some of the updates and how that's affecting your business. But where you're just hopping on social media and checking the news, or just checking the news because you're just randomly, maybe trying to procrastinate something else, you're not executing as Elizabeth was talking about, and you are delaying a project. And so you're like, oh, I'll just hop on and see what's going on. That is negatively affecting your energy to do that. You honestly would be better off to say, I'm going to procrastinate by going and taking a 10-minute nap. That would help make up for some of that full night's sleep that maybe you didn't get. Number 3, why am I not progressing? Okay. Well, if I can't get this to work, then we're just going to go on anyway. Oh, there we go. And that it's probably going to scroll through a lot now because I hit it a lot. If it does, we'll roll with it. Number 3 is 3 mindful meals. And I do have some free resources for you on this. 3 times a day, eat a mindful meal. I had a workshop also that I taught recently where this was what we focused on for this company, was not multitasking your meals. Imagine this. If you are, let's say it's 11:30, getting close to 12 o'clock, you're getting hungry and you're saying, I want to finish this project that I'm working on, but I also want to go ahead and eat because I've got this 1 o'clock meeting coming up. So we've all done it. So you go ahead and start eating your lunch while you are working on this project. And next thing you know, to Adam's dismay, you have now spilled food into your keyboard. Or if you're working on pen and paper, you've spilled food on your pen and paper. About that time, you get a notification that there's a crisis that you need to answer, at least a crisis in their mind that you need to answer. So you're answering it, working on your project, and trying to still eat your lunch. And then you get a knock on your door, family member or coworker, that there's something, question somebody has, so you're interrupted that way. Next thing you know, it is close to 1 o'clock, and you've got this really important phone call at 1 o'clock that you need to be mentally centered and all there for. And instead, you are completely distracted and everything is a mess. Imagine that same scenario where you had said, I'm going to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes. This is not where we're taking a 2-hour lunch break, but 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm going to focus on my meal. There are so many benefits to this that are available to you if you experiment with this. One of the really fun, surprising things that happened to a client, she's a CPA, and CPAs right now are pulling their hairs out. Everything is crazy. But she started implementing mindful eating a few months ago, and she got so hooked on the feeling of being centered and calm that throughout the rest of the day, when she would notice herself getting anxious or getting tense, she would go outside and get a few breaths of fresh air and calm down a little bit and then come back in and work. And she said, this has been the least stressful of all of her tax seasons, even though there is more going on right now to cause stress. I'm going to go, oh, good. It went on this time. Excellent. This is a powerful plate, and this is a great resource I have for you, both the graphic that I can send to you as well as a video detailing what this is about, because it's important how you eat for energy, but it's also important what you eat for energy. And I'll get this to you at the end. Number 4, this one is so simple, you all, but it is so critical because everything that goes on in your body, which means everything that goes on in your brain, goes on in a base of water. And if you are dehydrated, everything is sluggish and slowed down. And it's so simple to do this. Have 4 cups, 8-ounce cups of water by noon, and have another 4 8-ounce cups of water by 6 p.m. Next, we're skipping number 5. Number 6 is every 60 minutes, get up and move for 6. I love one of the research studies on this where a group that worked all day and did not take 6-minute movement breaks every 60 minutes versus a group that did get up and physically move for 6 minutes every hour. The group that did not move was cognitively much slower, significantly slower at the end of the day. Problem-solving skills, ability to be creative, all of that significant decrease. The group that moved 6 minutes every hour, they were just as good at the end of the day as they were at the beginning of the day. How many of us want to be just as alert and productive and engaged and happy and feeling amazing at the end of the day as we are at the start of the day? I think all of us. So make sure that you are moving for 6 minutes every hour. Now I want to just talk about a couple of studies showing not just the movement of 6 minutes every hour, but of a more traditional exercise program where you go for a 30, 45-minute walk, or you do some weight training, those types of exercises. One of the research studies showed that 700 workers improved the quantity and the quality of their work and their relationships with their coworkers with an exercise program. Another one from the University of British Columbia, memory and learning increased. This next one is my favorite. Listen to these numbers. 21% increase in concentration and 22% increase in ability to meet deadlines. So anybody who says, I don't have time to work out, well, if you are increasing your ability to meet deadlines by 22%, now suddenly you have the time to work out. As a personal story with this, one of the guys I've worked with, the whole reason that he wanted to start exercising was to lose weight. At least that's what he thought. It was to lose weight. And the reason was because, he's going, I'm going into these meetings and I'm just not on anymore. I just feel sluggish. I've put on some weight, so I'm not going in there confident. I'm losing negotiations because I don't feel like I have my edge anymore. I said, okay, we're going to start you on a workout program. So he lives up in Canada. So this was all virtual. He started on his workout program, and within a week, which means there's no way he lost all the weight he wanted to lose. Within a week, his confidence had gone through the roof. He was messaging me going, I am walking into these rooms just swaggering and I've got my stuff together. And his confidence, he was, doing well in negotiations. And his reason, or the reason, is because, hear me on this, your actions teach you what to believe. His actions were teaching him that I'm disciplined, I'm worth taking care of, I'm sharp, I can do what needs to be done. All of those attitudes that you need to be able to bring to work and to bring to a sales situation, to bring to a negotiation, to bring to anything in your work world and in your life, all happened because he was disciplining himself to go exercise. Last is just looking at brain health. And as we're getting toward the end of this, if you have questions, insights, anything like that, put it in the chat, and Elizabeth and Adam can look to let me know if there are questions on any of these for you. But the last piece I want to point out is taking care of your brain. All of the habits that I've talked about, or maybe routines, I should say, Elizabeth, all of the routines or the habits that I've talked about are good for the brain. But there's one more I want to share with you, and that is sunshine. And sunshine can even mean on a cloudy day, but just getting sunlight, getting daylight time outside does a couple of things. It immediately lifts your mood. When that sunshine hits your eyes, hits your skin, it boosts your serotonin, it boosts your feel-good hormones. Well, the beautiful thing is then not only do you get energy and feel good from that serotonin converts to melatonin when you go to bed. So therefore, all the way back up to number one, you're getting a better night's sleep for the next day's energy because you went out in the sunshine and got some fresh daylight time outside that day. So hope that you are going to take some actions on these. Elizabeth, were there any questions that came in the chat? If so, let's answer them.
I am not seeing any here, and that's a good segue into, if there's any questions or comments or maybe things that you have found that you've done. I do know, I think that's one thing that's, I hope people have taken advantage maybe of that sunshine ability during, it rained a lot this spring, but just being at home, when you can actually take the time, maybe you didn't feel like you had the freedom when you were in your office to maybe take a 5-minute walk outside or go eat your lunch outside, but it's a little bit easier. I think when we're working at home, maybe we feel like we have that freedom to do that, So I know that's one thing that I have definitely enjoyed. Now I work from home anyways, so I haven't really changed much, but I love that my office is literally right outside my back door, and I can even just on a phone call, go and walk outside even when I'm on the phone, but I can walk outside with that, and it's amazing what it does. So
it really does.
That is my comment. I think that definitely that sunshine factor is huge.
And one of the things I love about it too is it's so simple. It's just like the drinking the water. We're not talking about complicated routines, complicated things in the environment to change that can give such a boost. And when you're looking at creating a workplace wellness that is it's a culture of wellness, allowing and even encouraging employees to take those movement breaks, outside is amazing, the impact that it will have. So I do want, since there aren't any questions, let's go ahead and jump into creating your own energy plan. I'll give you about 15.
I will say
please.
that Adam, his comment is that he still agrees that naps are good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're procrastinating something, or maybe not procrastinating, if you are low on energy, taking that nap, actually go outside, take a nap in the sunshine for 5 minutes, and then walk for 5 minutes in the sunshine, and then have your lunch for 15 minutes in the sunshine. I think that this is a great way to go. This is a new routine I'm going to try. So as you're thinking through this, what is one thing that jumped out as to this is someplace that I need to grow? And then what is the first action that you're going to take towards your authentic energy plan? Take about 15 seconds and write that down. And the next question is, what are you going to do to remember to experiment with these ideas? And I do have some resources for you. The cheat sheet with those numbers, I will be glad to get those to you. Also, I have the video links detailing the powerful plate and that handout for you as well. And if that is something you want in the chat, just type free with your email. If you're watching this on the replay, then my email is at the very bottom. You can just shoot me an email saying, I want the free resources that you did for Sublime, and I will get those to you. I also have a video course and a link there for you. And then for those of you that are business owners and HR folks, if you want just to hop on the phone for 15 minutes and you go, I want some ideas to create workplace wellness, I need some ideas to start, I'll be glad to chat with you for 15, 20 minutes and give you some ideas to get you rolling on that. So that is what I have, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. I will turn this back over to you. Let's see if I can find the, yes, technology is my friend. I did it.
I have to remind myself of that as well sometimes. So yeah, as we move here so I can get back where you all can see my screen. Cheri does a great job, and actually we have used her with Sublime. She does a program during the holidays on holding the stuffing so that we hopefully kept our weight down as a company during Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's Eve, and she had a lot of really good tips. So she's definitely a great resource if you want to get those things for the office or just for home even. That's a great thing to have available for you, even if you're not the boss at work. You know, bring that in and bring that up during one of your daily huddles that you're going to have. So again, just going to give another quick time if somebody has a comment or a question. We'll be glad to, again, suggestions on maybe things that you all have done and have been successful in your business. If not, then I do just want, again, I'll just thank you all for coming. I do want to just remind you all, Shop Talk with Sublime is going to continue on a monthly basis. And next month in June, our topic will be HIPAA compliance. We're going to be talking about the one thing that you can do to achieve HIPAA compliance and not take time away from your patients. So I know not everybody on this is necessarily a medical practice, but if you do business at all with a medical practice, this would be something for you to hear. So again, you can register sublimecomp.com. You can see our topics. You can request some of the information. You can see past webinars. You can find Cheri's information on there as well. So we do appreciate you being with us. I thank you, Cheri, for sharing again. It was wonderful. I always enjoy. I feel so energized when I talk to you every time. So with that, we are going to sign off for this episode. Just remind you all to stay safe, wash your hands, and we'll see you in June. Bye.